And with that, San Diego is closer to coming off the state's COVID watch list. We are diving into what it will take to get us there and what that means for the school year. Plus, the stage is set for a showdown in Ocean Beach as large crowds are expected to pack the farmers market and defy public health orders. And a potential coronavirus breakthrough. The treatment, a San Diego biotech says, brought a patient back from the brink of death.
ABC 10 News at 5 starts now.
I am incredibly honored by this responsibility, and I'm ready to get to work. I am ready to get to work.
We begin with that first public appearance of the Democratic presidential ticket. Good evening. I'm Steve Atkinson.
And I'm Lindsay Pena. This afternoon, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris laid out their pitch in the race for the White House. ABC's Andrew Dimbert is in Delaware with more.
Rivals turned running mates.
For the first time, your next Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris.
After California Senator Kamala Harris officially joined Joe Biden in the race for 2020, the newly minted Democratic ticket taking the fight to President Trump.
This election isn't just about defeating Donald Trump or Mike Pence. It's about building this country back better.
As Joe Biden's vice president pick, Harris makes history. She's the first black woman on a major party ballot and the first Asian American to get the VP nod.
My mother was one of the greatest sources of inspiration in my life. I was taught that I had a responsibility to be a part of the fight for justice.
Harris, a graduate from Howard University, is no stranger to trailblazing political paths. She was the first black woman to be elected district attorney in San Francisco. After her inauguration, she said her office was totally empty except for a chair in the middle. Writing in her autobiography, "I was happy to take my seat." She went on to become the first woman ever to serve as California's Attorney General. She became friends with Joe Biden's late son, Beau, who held the same position in Delaware. Harris would go on to serve California in the U.S. Senate before running for president in the Democratic primaries against Joe Biden. Now the two teaming up in an effort to take down Trump in November.
I don't hold grudges.
President Trump, meanwhile, once supported Harris in her California election efforts before he was president. Trump and his daughter Ivanka donated money to several of Harris's campaigns. But now Trump wasting no time and going on the offensive here less than 100 days before the election.
She was very, very nasty to one of the reasons that surprised me. She was very disrespectful to Joe Biden.
Is anyone surprised Donald Trump has a problem with a strong woman or strong women across the board?
And after we see Harris and Biden here for the very first time as a presidential ticket, they're heading right out onto the campaign trail, going to a fundraiser later this evening. Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, Wilmington, Delaware.
We're continuing to monitor breaking news from the Angeles National Forest, where a massive wildfire is burning. This is a live picture near Lake Hughes, that's just north of Santa Clarita. It sparked about 2 hours ago, and it's already torched at least 400 acres. Firefighters right now are saying it has the potential to burn more than 1,000 acres. We know there are structures being threatened, and people living north of where the fire is burning are being evacuated. We're going to keep an eye on this and bring you updates as we get them.
Now to the latest on the coronavirus here in San Diego County. 236 new cases were reported today. That brings the total now to 33,393. 6 new deaths were also reported, bringing that total to 608. Health officials say the infection numbers here in San Diego County are trending in the right direction, and they are optimistic that local schools could get permission to reopen their campuses here in a matter of weeks. Our ABC 10 News anchor Derek Stahl goes in depth on those numbers to explain what it will take for that to happen.
At the moment, schools in San Diego County cannot hold in-person classes because the county is on the California Department of Public Health's watch list. The state looks at 6 metrics to gauge how much impact COVID is having on a community, and there's now just one metric standing in the way of in-person classes.
Do you see some blue spreading out with the red?
It's the question on so many parents' minds. How close are we to allowing kids back in classrooms in San Diego County?
We are very close to being off of the monitoring list.
County Public Health Officer Dr. Wilma Wooten says everything now hinges on this number, item 1, case rate per 100,000. But this metric is complicated, so complicated that the county and the state calculate their numbers differently. And there's no way for anyone in the public to check those calculations. They start by asking people when their COVID symptoms first appeared, total those cases up within a 14-day window, and then adjust for a county's population. The goal is to get this rate below 100 and stay there, and we're now just a few points away. Getting there starts with a different but related number, fewer new positive cases.
If we continue to maintain a less than 200 a number of cases per day, I anticipate that we will be off the state's monitoring list fairly soon.
Okay, some quick math. 200 new cases over a 14-day period, adjusted for population, is a case rate of about 82. Well below the rate of 100 where we need to be. So it'll take several days of low cases to turn this trigger green. And then remember, we have to stay there for exactly 17 days to officially allow schools to reopen.
The goal is not just to get that number below 100, get it below 100 and stay below 100. And so we can't have the mindset that once we're off the state monitoring list, well, everything's fine. And then we just go back to normal, because then we'll simply have it spike back up and we'll be in this seesaw situation.
Long story short, if current trends continue, K through 12 schools could get the green light to reopen campuses as early as sometime next month. Derek Stahl, ABC 10 News.
Okay, to add another wrinkle, some San Diego schools could open even if we're still on the watch list. Elementary schools can apply for a waiver to host classes on campus, but the bottom line is that for grades 7 through 12, the only way they will reopen is if we're off that watch list. If you would like to go more in depth with cases in your community, ABC 10 News has a complete section devoted to tracking COVID here in the county. Just go to 10news.com and click on the local COVID tracker at the top of the home page. Right there, you're going to find the cases by zip code and even a breakdown by an age group. Today, the state superintendent addressed the impatient parents, students, and staff who are all feeling about the timeline for schools reopening.
This is not easy by any stretch of the imagination. There's no playbook for how to do this.
Tony Thurman says he has attended Zoom calls with students going back to school this week who asked when they could go back in person.
We all wanted to know when school going to open again. We all want to know. We don't know. But until then, I'm asking everyone to do what you can to help us reduce the rates of infection.
Thurman says they will spend the next few weeks holding meetings with parents to prioritize how to support students with disabilities and those who need school meals and access to technology.
The city is adding extra patrols for tonight's Ocean Beach Farmers Market. In recent weeks, the event has been drawing large crowds with no social distancing and no masks. ABC 10 News reporter Jennifer De La Cruz is there live. And Jen, are people following the rules so far?
So far, so good, Lindsay, but it's relatively early. It's really not until after darkness falls that they start to see the problems. And it's really not the farmers market. It's here at the end of Newport Avenue, Veterans Plaza, where people start to gather. We already hear the drums going, but overall, no crowds just yet. We have seen an increase already in police officers and park rangers going around educating people, handing out masks to people who don't have them. But once again, still early on. Only time will tell what happens after dark. A compliance team from the city of San Diego is set to monitor the weekly Wednesday farmers market in Ocean Beach. They're hoping extra enforcement will prevent this scene from last week. Crowds gathering close together well into the night, most of them not wearing masks. Ocean Beach Town Council member Corey Bruin says right now there's not an easy solution.
This is a lot more complicated than it seems.
At a press conference Tuesday, Councilmember Jennifer Campbell's office calling on the community to do the right thing and follow the rules.
Every day, more and more San Diegans are dying. So we have to get tough.
The city put up a fence around Veterans Park Tuesday morning, but it was torn down by two men shortly after. As of Wednesday afternoon, there was no fence set up around the park, just hours before the farmers market began. After ongoing pressure from residents in the area, the city is now setting up a compliance team to help educate anyone who is violating the county public health order. The team will consist of 12 people from the city and a few others from the county. City workers include parking enforcement, park rangers, and administrative staff.
Bruin says they're looking forward to seeing how the added enforcement will work Wednesday night. But if the crowds continue, he's worried an Ocean Beach staple will be taken away.
The last thing we would want is for our poor farmers market to have to shut down.
The OB Town Council says they've also seen unpermitted food vendors in recent weeks. They believe the crowds are due in part to a drum circle that sets up at Veterans Park after the farmers market. Bruin says that's one reason why this problem has been so difficult to fix.
There's not an organizer of the drum circle that we're aware of, where they can go in and kind of say, hey, stop organizing this.
The gatherings have also resulted in a surge in trash piled throughout the area, with more than 6,000 gallons cleaned up in just 8 weeks.
So far, once again, we have not seen any crowds out here, but usually it does happen after the sun goes down. Those compliance teams, once again, they are already out here. We've seen them handing out masks to people who don't have them. They say they're going to take it by day and by week, really, to see if that's something that they need to continue in the future. A fine for violating the public health order out here for social distancing will result in a fine of up to $1,000. Reporting live in Ocean Beach, Jennifer Dela Cruz, ABC 10 News.
Thank you, Jennifer. And Governor Gavin Newsom says he is working with the state's legislature to extend the eviction moratorium set to expire September 1st before taking measures into his own hands.
But right now, we are working in the spirit of collaboration, cooperation, partnership with the legislature and a lot of stakeholders on some nuances that I think are incredibly important to work through. And so I'm confident that we'll get to where we need to go.
Governor Newsom said they are working to extend the bill and fill the gap from September through January 1st. That's because it is most likely that an approved bill halting evictions wouldn't go into effect until the new year.
Free coronavirus testing is now available in San Ysidro along the U.S.-Mexico border. Our ABC 10 News reporter Marie Cornell shows us why this location was specifically chosen.
Tens of thousands of people cross the U.S.-Mexico border daily. And that's why the county has opened their brand new COVID-19 testing site here as part of their efforts to reach out to the Latino community. Right next to the border crossing on the U.S. side are white tents. Inside are masked health professionals, some seated behind plexiglass. This is where people can get a free COVID-19 test. You don't need an appointment, but the county is only offering about 150 to 200 tests a day. Right now, the testing site is open Monday through Friday from 6:30 to 10:30 a.m.
Help those that are crossing the border daily to conduct essential work, to be able to have an easy site for them to get tested for COVID-19.
The latest data shows of the more than 33,000 positive COVID-19 cases in the county, Latinos account for about 62% of that number, which is why this location was chosen. But county officials say what may change are the hours of operation.
We're starting out first thing in the morning as folks come across the border to be able to see if that's a good time to have people be able to test. If that doesn't work, then we'll move to the afternoon or we'll move to other days of the week. The purpose is really to provide accessible testing for members of the public.
This testing site is now the 10th site that is operating in the South Bay. Reporting from San Ysidro, Marie Cornell, ABC 10 News.